homesteading to prepping to common horse sense, we are College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, today it's time to make hills so we can start planting sweet potatoes. We're going to plant our sweet potatoes. Now it's going to be a 2-day operation, so this video is going to take me 2 days to do, but that's okay. I'm going to take and go ahead. I healed the potatoes this morning, so I want to go ahead and draw my sweet potato row. Now this year I'm planting my sweet potatoes different. I've always bedded sweet potatoes, but I wasn't on the homestead when it was time to bed the sweet potatoes, so they didn't get done. I've got some 2-year-old sweet potatoes down in our basement that I'm going to try something totally different. So be sure to hang around and see what I'm doing different. Will it work? I've never planted sweet potatoes this way, but we'll just have to give it a shot and see. Now, when I healed my potatoes this morning, I only healed them lightly. Okay, I only threw up about a 2-inch, 3-inch heel on them is all, because they're just certain size. When they get a little bit bigger, I'll put a bigger heel on them. But my sweet potatoes need a great big heel. So what I need to do is I need to reset my healers to do large heels. So let's get out doing that. Now this morning, when you set your healers for doing only a tiny heel, you don't want them to have much angle in. You know, you don't want them to angle in a lot. But I want to make a great big heel, so I need them to angle in, but not a whole lot. So I'm going to take and loosen these up. Now I'll turn this healer in like that. And when you turn them in that steep, you better tighten them down tight. Now I'll do the other one. Okay, now they're at a very steep angle, and they'll make a good high heel. So let's go down and put them on the dirt. Now this morning I went down through here and plowed 2 rows. So I'm going to go put in 1 row of sweet potatoes this year. I usually do 2 or 3, but this year I'm just going to do 1 because it's an experiment. And I'm not going to work myself to death and do something that maybe won't work. But now, right in the center of this, you'll see kind of a row that I tried to get kind of good and straight. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and follow that row with my healers and make a nice big heel down through there. So now I'm on the heel garden. So this goes downhill. It's probably at a, I don't know, 8 or 9 degree slope. So you never try and make a hill going uphill. It'll do this all the time. Your tractor will waggle all over the place. So don't try and make a hill going uphill. Always do your hills going downhill. that's what a sweet potato hill ought to look like. About 12 inches tall and fairly straight. I felt the tractor waggle a little bit, but for the most part it's pretty straight. It's straight enough that I'll be able to throw up dirt on the sides of it as the sweet potatoes grow a little bit. So it's time to get to getting our sweet potatoes ready to go in the ground in the morning. I made the hill today. In the morning we'll put those sweet potatoes in the ground. Okay, it's time to get to cutting up some sweet potatoes. Now, what I've got, I went down in the basement, and it's where we're at right now. I'm in the basement where I normally do some of my videos, especially the ones for prepping and that kind of stuff. But I haven't got the lights and those kind of things turned on. I'm just down here at the table, and what I went in the basement, of course. Here's a picture of our sweet potato bin. Now, all the potatoes in this bin are 2 years old. I didn't get to plant sweet potatoes last year, and we didn't use a whole lot of sweet potatoes. We used quite a few, but not a lot. So we had quite a few left over. So I've got quite a few sweet potatoes to haul up out of here to prepare for the new ones for this fall. But those potatoes that you see right there, they will last for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, just like they are here in the basement. Now, I have got a couple of them, and what I'm going to do, I've never done sweet potatoes this way before. Now, this year I had to be away while we were doing the, when it was time to bed sweet potatoes. You can go back and look at our other videos about bedding sweet potatoes, and I have always bedded my sweet potatoes. But this year I had to be away from the homestead and didn't get any sweet potatoes bedded. So what I've decided to do is these have grown out, and you can see how this one's grown out quite a bit. These have grown out, and they've got quite a few, I don't know what to call them. I guess they're sweet potato sprouts on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these just like I do Irish potatoes, or as Paul called them, Irish taters. I'm going to cut these up and leave little pieces of potato still on and bury that in my hill. So let's get one of these cut up and show you what I'm going to do. Now these are probably hard as a rock. And the answer to that is, yes they are. I figured they would be pretty hard. Now, this is the Kappa one, so I can get one right there. And what that left me with was a piece of potato and then this sprout. This still feels pretty damp inside, which I'm kind of surprised it feels that way. Now, if you've ever eaten a 2-year-old potato, sweet potato, you'll know that they're a little pithy in comparison to regular sweet potatoes. Now, I'm just going to put this in a bucket. Now, with Irish potatoes, a bucket plants about a 50-foot row. So I've got we drew a 100-foot row out there, if you remember. So I'm going to have to cut up 2 buckets worth. So I'm going to get it cutting those, and this one potato, ow, I don't want to cut my fingers. This one potato, I don't think I can cut this one apart, so I'll leave it solid. It gave me 3 pieces. Now there are some little sprouts on here that I'll wait and see later, but I've got plenty of potatoes with sprouts on them. Okay, big sprouts. And the bigger the sprout, the faster the potato's going to be through the sprout's going to be through the ground and up and growing. We're late getting everything going, so that's what I need to happen. So I'm going to cut into that. There's that one. Now there's a sprout right there that's pretty good size, but I'll wait. I'm going to get these big long sprouts. Separate that out where I can get down to it. There we go. There's one with a long sprout on it. And in this one, I think I can separate it that way. There's another one with a long sprout. And finally this one with a long sprout. So I'll go ahead and get it cut in these, and then I'll come back to you. Okay folks, this is what I've got. I've got one bucket. Now, I tried to count. I think I've got 110 sets in here. But you know me and counting. So I probably have enough to do the entire row. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and plant what I have. And then tomorrow, if this is not enough, I'll come back down and cut some more and put more in the morning, in the next morning. So, see you in the field. Okay, here we are in the hill garden. Right there, see right here where this hand's at, there's our row. We need to get the potatoes in the ground. Of course, last night I took the time to cut up a bucket. Now I think I counted, and there are 110 of these. Now, you know me and counting. I can do multivariable calculus, planetary motion, all that fancy math, but I don't have enough fingers and toes anymore. I don't know what's the deal. Anyway, how am I going to plant these? Well, I'm going to plant them with a stick. I always used the stick to plant my other sweet potato sets. I'm going to use a stick this time, but what I'm worried about, one of the things, I intend to drop this and then just push it into the ground. Well, I'm worried that it might break these off. So let's go over here and give it a shot, and then I'll show you what I'll do if it does. Here's our row, and I'll drop a sweet potato set like that, and I'll probably drop 4 or 5 at a time. Then I'll take this stick and push them right down the ground and cover them up. I think that's going to work, but you heard the fear that I have. I'm afraid that I'm going to break off. Now you put these about 1 foot apart. I'm afraid I might break off those. Well, if I get to where I'm doing that, I'll just make a hole and cover it up. That's the way I'll handle these. I'm going to get at it. Okay, I've got a 100-foot row of sweet potatoes planted. Now, I estimate I had 110. I've got about 8 left. So I must have counted pretty close last night. Now, what am I going to do with these? Well, I'm not going to water them. These were amazingly wet. I was surprised. They're 2 years old. They're real pithy, but they're full of water. So I'm not going to water them. It's supposed to rain tomorrow or the next day, and I'll just leave them in the ground like they are. I broke my stick trying to put them in, but wound up feeling better. I could use this stick a little better than the long one. Now, I'll come back probably in a week or two and give them a little fertilizer. Not a lot, just a little. Because if you give sweet potatoes too much fertilizer, they will make all kinds of vines, but not many potatoes. So now, it takes between 90 and 120 days for sweet potatoes to make. Today is June the 3rd. July the 3rd, August the 3rd, September the 3rd, and October the 3rd. Our last frost date, they listed as November, but it'll be sometime in October. So that's 120 days. So they've got plenty of time to make if this method works. And if this method works, it's probably the method I'm going to use from now on, because it's so much simpler. I don't have to get down on the ground and harvest out of the bed. Okay? But we'll wait and see how it comes out, because it all depends on whether they will put potatoes on. They might grow all kinds of roots, but because of this piece of potato on the end, they might not grow any taters. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homestead stuff all the time. We upload on Sundays. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing.